Steven,
Yeah,
your voice
we
could
should
change
start
to
now.
anything. What
Here we
would
go.
you change it to?
We gotta get 20 under 20 minutes this podcast.
Boom. All
I
right.
believe that we can do it.
Let's do it.
Who are you guys gonna vote for this year? Welcome to the Couch Time Podcast, where we give you tools to connect with your kids and point them to Jesus. I am Aaron.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Stephen Petrie.
And today we are going to talk about a couple things, but politics is kind of the framework we're going to discuss, and specifically having conversations and how to have conversations revolving around politics. So that's where we're headed. We hope to do a couple things. First off, we want to, from our perspective, I don't know, parents, I think maybe they don't know, maybe they do know, maybe they talk to their kid about it all the time. I've heard from some parents that are just irritated with their kid, and that's all they talk about is politics. But other parents, maybe they have no idea what their kid is talking about when they go to youth group or when they're on social media. But we want to give our assessment of, what is the political climate like among teens right now. And then secondly, for the episode, we want to give, parents some reminders and ideas for how to help your kids think rightly and, discuss culture and politics and stuff that's going on right now. So those are kind of the goals. Let's get into it. Steve and Josh, I just want to add that this is really, really tense politics just in general. So,
Yes.
It's just odd. I'm having to think through every word that I say very carefully because I don't want to say something that's going to get it's
misinterpreted totally.
It's a very tense subject. So, what are you guys observing right now in regards to politics among teens at your campus? And I threw this in there because I think it's relevant. Parents might not know. It's like, so teens at your campus and their friends. So as far as social media or just hearing people talk, even kids that aren't in our youth group. So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's much different than probably what parents are experiencing with other parents.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, it's just a very political time in that lots of different views are often being shared. Lots of different perspectives are being shared.
Yeah.
People are frustrated or angry at people that think differently than them. Some people are okay with having like conversations about what they think. Other people don't want to talk about it, don't want to think about it, would rather ignore it. It's not much different than how I see 40, 50-year-olds interacting over social media. I'm friends with all sorts of different people. I just feel like many people have many different views. Some don't share their views. Some are sharing their views.
Yeah.
Some are very emotional. Some are very rational. Like it's
so
all over the place.
you're saying that you're seeing teens and it's the same conversations that you're seeing adults having essentially.
Some will talk about it a lot, some don't talk about it at all. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
What would you say to answer the question, Stephen? Then I want to hear from you, Josh. What do you think is most important to teens right now? It's like, are you hearing a certain topic or thing more than anything else?
What is most important to teens?
If anything, if there's nothing standing out. Then.
I think it just completely depends on the teen. Some politics is probably most important to them right now. Others could care less. And what's most important to them is that the World Series is going on right now in baseball.
Right.
Yeah. It's hard to say what's most important for any people group. There's all sorts of different perspectives, I'd say.
Yeah. I think the only thing I'd add is I have noticed that so far in my interactions, I've seen middle schoolers be more in line with what their parents are thinking politically more often than not. And then in high school, that can change. So that's the only I've just noticed. That's interesting. Definitely in middle school, almost 100% of the students I talk to, they would agree politically and promote politically what their parents think, at least what I'm assuming their parents think. And then in high school, sometimes that changes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
at the Fort Thomas campus, I would agree with both of you guys. And some parents maybe are surprised by this, but maybe not. the teens are having the same conversations that I have with my neighbors and with my friends. Some are more outspoken, but that's more, Stephen, like what you were saying. It's personality. Like some kids care about some things more than others. Some kids are just, they don't give a rip about what's going on. But I would say that the overall assessment is it's being talked about a lot. So maybe you assume that kids escape it when they go to youth group. Not true. It's
I had
a
to
lie.
shut that down in my group last night.
There's some kids that's, I mean, it kind of dominates in some of the circles.
Right.
So, all right. Here's the next question. Are there any concerns before we move on? Any concerns you guys see, from your leadership position in student ministry? Are there any concerns in regards to politics with your kids?
I think just whenever somebody is careless about what they say, I especially see it with middle schoolers, but they're just careless about what they say and not really like kind of assessing, who am I talking to? Who's in this room that may or may not agree with whatever I'm saying? There's just part of it's just ignorance. Like they just don't necessarily know. They haven't thought about it like that. And maybe they just think everybody thinks the way that they think.
So my biggest concern with politics right now has to do with who the kids are looking to as far as influence and getting information. And so that's kind of where we'll transition. And, parents, what we want to encourage you with this entire podcast. A quote that I want to read, and I think this is true for adults as well as teenagers, but when you need comfort, you go to whomever you are already connected to. Whoever is having daily conversations with teens will be the one they come to when they are struggling, doubting, searching, or celebrating. And I think that that's an accurate quote. And so, parents, we just want to encourage you in regards to politics right now, whether, you're concerned or we're concerned, the climate is what it is as far as it's politically charged. There's an election happening. There's a lot of emotional stuff happening in the culture that's attached to politics. So wherever kids are at, we want to end this podcast by talking about, you having intentional conversations with your kids. And politics is just one of those avenues to discuss.
Yeah.
So, Steve and Josh, what are some ideas for parents about when, where, and how to have intentional conversations about this topic?
Yeah, I'd say regardless of what's going on in society, anytime there's some big thing going on in the news, big current event, right now it's politics, like there's an opportunity to connect with your kid in some way, shape, or form that is new and fresh and presents itself. And regardless of what your student believes politically, thinks politically, agrees with or disagrees with, values or doesn't value, you being able to have some sort of conversation with them just lets you learn your kid more, lets you show your student that you care to talk to them, lets them see that you care to hear them out and discuss and rationalize with them about what they believe. So I would just say take the opportunity of something big in the news that everyone's thinking about, everyone's always hearing about, everyone's being posted, as an opportunity to ask them, hey, so what have you been seeing about the election? Did you watch the debate? What did you think about what he said here or what he said here? What are your friends posting? What are you seeing your friends sharing? Yeah. Just questions that
ask questions,
aren't
looking for the right answer.
Yeah, it's not like you're looking for a right or wrong answer.
You genuinely want to know what they think, what your kids think.
What are they hearing about?
Judgment, without reservation.
You're not trying to start some sort of back and forth where you disagree with them or you explain more clearly. It's literally for the point of having conversation.
Yes.
Relationships are built on time together, experiences together, and conversations, talking with people. So the more you talk with someone, and the more they can tell that you care to talk with them, you enjoy talking to them, the more comfortable they feel with you to be able to talk about more stuff that's more related to their actual genuine life moving forward in your guys' relationship. Yeah,
I think the only other thing I would just emphasize, just Proverbs 25, it says the purpose in a man's heart is like a deep water, but a man of understanding will draw it out. And I think just to kind of go and just draw out your kid like, think about your body language, think about your facial expression, think about like how I think part of this too, Stephen, to draw them out, if they've seen you maybe argue with somebody who disagrees with you, like, your kid sees that and they may be less open to like sharing stuff with you. So I think just another thing is just like, in context of all your relationships and what your kids are seeing of you, like, are you an approachable person in general? It needs to start with like that integrity piece, and then going into the things that you were saying, Stephen, are just so crucial with time and all that.
Yeah, I think you can't be closed-minded. So some ideas about like how you can't be closed-minded. If you are, it's like you're not going to communicate care and concern and genuine interest in what their ideas are. Also your kids, they might think differently than you. You can't just shut them down and try to fix them and correct their way of thinking. Genuinely try to understand what they think and why they think it, and where their perspective's coming from in regards to that issue, whatever it is. Curiosity shows care. Like, be curious about what they actually think, even if it's far-fetched, even if it's completely outlandish and foolish even. It's like, be curious about what they care. And then, here's a quote about a guy, speculation about conversation in general, but he says most conversations take at least 7 minutes to really begin. And I say that the point is, regardless if it's 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 5 minutes, don't rush.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to take the time to converse. And it's, one of the reasons I love bonfires is because you're kind of locked in for an extended period of time, and it promotes conversation. And I think it's because of the time that it, you end up having conversation. So don't rush, don't be closed-minded, and be curious. So there's some truth to hold to. We got to wrap up here. There's some truth to hold to as far as, scripture that we're going to put in the show notes. I would really encourage you. There's power in the Word of God, power to save, power to correct our wrong thinking, and to put off the old self and put on the new self and feed the Spirit and not the flesh. So go read some of the verses that have to do with God's sovereignty. This is, for our good. God is using stuff in culture, whether that's, in our time period or past time periods or future time periods. Whatever the political climate is, God is using things. He is sovereign. He's in control. And then also just the simple fact that this world is not our home.
That's right.
And it's broken, and there's no political system that's going to fix it, and we have eternity to look to. So
that's right.
Yeah, I think the main piece of connecting with your kid and pointing to them to Jesus, the main reminder from this podcast is to seek opportunities to have conversations with your kids. Politics is just an opportunity for a conversation.
Just one avenue,
it's just an avenue that's current that you can talk about. It's like, what are a couple more ideas, Aaron? I'd like to hear from you. A couple more ideas on that of, like you said, like a bonfire is a great opportunity to like sit where it forces you to have conversations. Like, those, I think, are like the practical things that would be helpful to parents. Like, oh, wow, I can have a fire and like just sit, and like now I'm going to have an opportunity to talk with them. I can bring up some of the political like conversations where they'll be able to share with me.
Yeah.
Like hot chocolate, coffee, like grab some of that.
I think one, and this is coming to mind right now, when you ask and this is going to take self-control and discipline on the parent's part, but when you're driving to school and you ask a kid a question, you don't have that 7 minutes or whatever it is to have a full conversation. Listen to what they say and bring it up again later. So it's like, have it on your mind to continue the conversation. It may not happen in one time, but it might just pick up and then drop off, and then you can pick it up again. I think that shows curiosity. I think that shows that you're listening and you're thinking about what they're saying, that communicates you care and you want to have a conversation with them.
Yeah. Finding like those opportunities where you're not rushed, because I feel like when a kid is with a parent and an opportunity, and they have an opportunity to just rush, they'd like run away from conversation. Or they just answer really short and then go back to whatever they wanted to go do, or they just go up to their room. Like, creating those contexts where it's like, no, we're going to be here for a bit, allows their like walls to come down a little bit. And then you'd be like, what have you been seeing on social media? What have you been like hearing from your friends? Did you watch this? Did you watch that? And just navigating through slowly.
And I think another episode we could do, to talk strictly about conversations and how to listen well and how to have conversations. Because it's a hard thing, but it's something we need to be doing. But in regards to politics and stuff right now, there's such turmoil for so many people. Maybe you parents are really wrestling with who you're going to vote for. Why are you going to vote? Are you not going to vote? It's like, let your kids, invite them into what you're thinking through, process with them. That's not wrong. So, remember not to just try to fix or correct your kid. This is about the heart. Exactly what you're saying, Stephen. Find opportunities to talk and converse with your kids, to point them to Christ, and help them to think rightly. So it takes time to build trust. Start having conversations today. Care about what they care about. Listen, build trust, and use opportunities to point them to Christ. We love you guys. Bye.